TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, London rejects the notion of recognizing a Palestinian state absent a negotiated agreement with Israel. The IDF deepens its achievements in Rafah as IDF tanks gain control of the center of the town. Ambassador Nikki Halley, a former GOP presidential candidate in the United States who recently joined Hudson Institute, revealed that Iran, Russia, and China were essentially behind the Hamas attack on October 7th. European governments, subject to immense international pressure, are separately deliberating whether they should follow in the footsteps of Spain, Norway, and Ireland in recognizing a Palestinian state absent a negotiated solution with Israel. Amid these deliberations, Irish Foreign Minister Michael Martin decreed that the top priority of Dublin's Arab partners, all of which are totalitarian regimes, would be to see all European countries recognize a Palestinian state.
The top priority for Arab partners is that all European countries recognise Palestine. As many of you know, this is the political framework within which Ireland, along with Spain, Norway and others, have been discussing the issue of recognition over the last few months. It has long been my view that recognising Palestine would be most impactful if done in a coordinated manner with other partners.
To the Dublin government's dismay, the majority of European nations are not as excessively influenced, with bids to recognise Palestinian statehood absent a negotiated solution with Israel have generally been rejected.
We hope that the Danish parliament will recognise a Palestinian state with a majority of the votes, preferably unanimously.
The notion by the radical Marxist Red-Green Alliance in Denmark was decisively rejected, with 83 lawmakers voting against, 2 abstentions, and only 22 in favour. Meanwhile, in England, British Foreign Secretary David Cameron was asked whether the United Kingdom would like to see a two-state solution implemented.
Of course, but what I want to see is, yes, a two-state solution of a secure Israel next to a secure democratic Palestine. And recognition, of course, will come, but it shouldn't come at the start of this process. It doesn't have to wait till right at the end, but it should be part of bringing about a two-state solution.
It is important to know that the last time the West essentially imposed democratic elections on the Palestinian Authority was in 2006, when the Islamist Hamas won 74 mandates out of the 132-seat Palestinian Legislative Council. Meanwhile, London's top diplomat addressed a tragic incident in which an Israeli precision-guided strike targeting 2 senior Hamas officials preceded a blaze that claimed the lives of a number of uninvolved Palestinian civilians in the Gazan border town of Rafah.
Well, I think that what happened in Rafah overnight really did look very, very concerning, very worrying, and so we're asking for that to be investigated rapidly. The Israelis have already said it was a tragic mistake, but we want to see that properly investigated. Look, what I want to see is a stop in the fighting. We want a pause, which has been offered by the Israelis, a hostage deal to Hamas that would let prisoners out of Israeli jails, and have that pause, because what we need is to get the hostages out, get the aid in, and have that stop in the fighting, which we can then turn into a permanent, sustainable ceasefire. That's what I want to see happen.
Thankfully, the IDF has launched a comprehensive investigation into the deeply regrettably incident.
Naturally, in a war of such scope and intensity, difficult events also happen. Some incidents, like last night's incident in Rafah, are very grave. The details of yesterday's incident are still under an investigation, which we are committed to conducting to the fullest extent. The IDF regrets any harm to non-combatants during the war.
Following the announcement by the Israeli military's Advocate General, IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari provided some details from the preliminary investigation that alluded to the possibility that the targeted location was situated near a concealed munitions storage facility.
The strike was conducted using 2 munitions with small warheads suited for this targeted strike. We're talking about munition with 17 kilos of explosive material. This is the smallest munition that our jets can use. Following this strike, a large fire ignited for reasons that are still being investigated. Our munition alone could not have ignited a fire of this size. I want to repeat it. Our munition alone could not have ignited a fire of this size. Our investigation seeks to determine what may have caused such a large fire to ignite. We are looking into all possibilities, including the option that weapons stored in a compound next to our target, which we did not know of, may have ignited as a result of the strike.
Admiral Hagari further dispelled disinformation that was claimed by Hamas as if the IDF struck within a designated humanitarian zone.
As you can see, in our aerial surveillance from the time of the strike, we targeted a closed structure away from tent area. As you can see, there are no tents in the immediate vicinity of the structure that we targeted. Contrary to reports, we conducted the strike outside the area that we designated as a humanitarian area and called civilians to evacuate to. Our strike was over 1.5 kilometers away from the El Muasi humanitarian area, what we call the safer zone. Here is where Hamas claims we struck, and here is where we conducted our strike against the Hamas senior commanders outside the area designated as a humanitarian area. Our aerial surveillance was filming prior to the strike in order to minimize civilian harm.
The IDF spokesman went on to know that the area in question has been a Hamas staging ground for repeated attacks, including rocket launches, which were indiscriminately directed at Israel.
It should be noted, Hamas has been operating from this area since October 7th. Here, in this satellite image, 43 meters from the structure we targeted, you can see Hamas rocket launchers. Hamas fired rockets from these launchers at Israel during their massacre on October 7th. We are also assessing footage documented by Gazans on the night of the strike posted on social media, which appear to show secondary explosions, indicating that there may have been weapons in the area.
Meanwhile, amid reports that IDF tanks have reached the center of Rafah, Admiral Hagari stressed that the fighting in the Gazan border town with Egypt is evidently making progress.
We are operating in Rafah in a very targeted and precise way. There is still terror in Rafah. There is still Hamas battalions in Rafah. A couple of days ago, launchers from Rafah fired to Tel Aviv. Millions of people went into bomb shelters. There is still terror in Rafah. Today and the day before, we've again detected tunnels on the Philadelphia corridors. Those are tunnels going to Sinai. We are talking to the Egyptians. We are demolishing those tunnels. We are working in a precise and targeted way. There's still hostages in Rafah. And we need to make sure that we do everything we can to bring our hostages back home.
It is interesting to highlight that Ambassador Nikki Halley, a former GOP presidential candidate and U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, revealed during a visit to southern Israel that Iran, Russia, and China were the ones behind the murderous Hamas onslaught of October 7th.
It was orchestrated by Iran. It was helped with Russian intelligence, and it was fueled by money from China. Don't deny that. China's been funding Iran the entire time. Russia's intelligence helped them know where everything was. Iran helped get them trained. So this isn't Hamas. Look at these are all murderers and accomplices.
Ambassador Halley, who recently joined Hudson Institute in Washington, D.C., further addressed those countries who've recognized a Palestinian state, alongside the International Criminal Court and International Court of Justice, which have seemingly taken on a publicized judicial campaign against Israel.
And for all those countries who decided to recognize a Palestinian state, do you know what that felt like here in Israel? You just gave credit to Hamas and all that they did. For all those looking at the ICC and ICJ, right before we landed, there were strikes in Tel Aviv. Why? Because the ICC and ICJ just emboldened Hamas. They just gave them everything they needed to know. And when the friends of Israel back off, the terrorists move in.
Turning to northern Israel, where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with IDF troops of the Golani Brigade, who've been stationed at the front lines with Lebanon.
I'm here with the soldiers of the Golani Brigade and the Golani Reconnaissance Unit, a magnificent unit which fought in Gaza, also in Judea and Samaria, and now here on the northern border. They've lost friends, but with an extraordinary fighting spirit and with wonderful achievements together with their friends. We are visiting here in the north a day after the government passed a decision on an immediate aid program of 3.5 billion shekels for the residents of the north, for the rehabilitation of the settlements and for help, and after 45 days another 3 billion will be granted, and then the hand is still open, because we are obligated both on the civilian and military fronts to return the residents safely to their communities and homes. This commitment is one of the goals of the war, and we are not giving up on it. I want to tell you that I am here with you. I hear you. I see your determination. I see the fire in your eyes. I would tell the citizens of Israel, this is the iron wall of the state of Israel. Together with these wonderful warriors and their friends, we will also achieve this goal.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to encourage you to pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Moreover, if you're blessed by our productions, which are exclusively donation-based and as such broadcast free of charge, please consider making a donation. You can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. I'm Jonathan Hessen, wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.